So I've created and saved my document, and I'd like to make sure that users can read it, but that no one can edit it without my permission. And to do that, I'm going to go to File and Protect Document, and we're going to restrict editing. This is a task pane that opens that allows us to make some choices about what's allowable and not allowable in this document. In an earlier chapter, we looked at using the formatting restriction section. Because I'm asking to protect my document, Word has automatically checked this editing restriction that says there are no changes that can be made to this document. It is read-only. And I can then choose to start enforcing protection on my document, and I'll be asked if I wish to supply a password. If I don't, it's relatively easy for someone to get back in here and turn off protection if they know how to open this restrict formatting and editing pane. So I'm going to supply a password. I'll need to enter that same password again and say OK. So it says this document is protected from unintentional editing. I can only view this region, and it lets me see the regions, and it says find regions I can edit, and it says there are no regions that you can edit. But notice that a user could just click Stop Protection, and if I had not supplied a password, they would be able to edit very, very easily. I'm going to unprotect this document, and when I unprotect it, it unprotects it not just for this session. I've turned protection off. So again, I can easily protect the entire document by changing it to read-only, enforcing protection, and supplying a password. There are actually 4 things I can do here. One is I can actually force a review. In other words, I can make it so that another user reviewing this document cannot turn off track changes. So that's helpful when I'm working collaboratively. My second choice is you can't edit, but you can leave comments in the document, also a reviewing technique. And then the third would be for forms created in Microsoft Word. You could say the only thing allowed here is to fill in the form fields that are here in my document. But I'm going to choose no changes, read only. So just a quick review of that again, because it's a little bit complex. I start out on the left side of my screen saying I want to protect my document by restricting editing, and I end up over here on the right side of the screen, and Word has already set no changes, read only. I start enforcing protection, enter a password, confirm that password, and say OK, and my document is now restricted. If I wish, I can close the Restrict Formatting and Editing pane and save and close my document. And I have a well-protected document that anyone can read and no one can edit without a password. I'm going to stop the protection and show you an alternative use of the Restrict Formatting and Editing pane. I have a document that I want people to be able to edit only one part of it. If you take a look, I have some text, and I don't want anyone to change the text. I want them to enter comments about this text. And then I have another section of text that I'd like them to review and provide comments. So I'm saying no editing here, but editing here. No editing here, and so on. So saying no changes won't really work for me. What I want to say is that there's no changes with some exceptions. So I'm going to select part of this document and choose users who are allowed to edit them. But there's a little more behind the scenes that we have to be attentive to here. I can't just select open blocks of text. I actually need to select sections to have this work. So I'm going to turn on my Show Hide mark, and there's actually a section break that's been inserted here and here. Let's remember quickly how to do that, which is Page Layout Breaks, a continuous section break right there. So with a section break above and below this area, I can say this part here, everyone can freely edit. The other parts of the document, no changes. Let's start enforcing protection. And now that task pane that says find next region I can edit will tell me you can edit here. And you can even notice that there's a set of brackets here. I'll turn off Show Hide to make it a little easier, and it says you can edit here. So I can enter some text. Show all the regions I can edit right there. The next region, there is no next region. And I can't edit here. When I click, notice my toolbars are not enabled. When I click down here, my toolbars are not enabled. However, If I'm in the zone where I'm allowed to edit, I have full editing capability. I'm going to stop protection on this document. And again, remember that I've stopped protection going forward until I start enforcing protection again. One way to think about the use of this is that I can create a document, set the protection, and then make as many copies of it as I need to send out as a feedback form, as an informational form. Certainly not the kind of thing one would typically use for document review, but the kind of thing that you can use to get back feedback or information, broader text, almost like a survey. So we've seen now 4 ways that we can protect documents. You can mark them as final. You can encrypt them with a password to keep users from opening them at all. You can restrict editing, either to make the entire document read-only or to make part of the document available for editing. And for all of those choices except mark as final, you'll be expected to provide a password.